Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my daughter's grandparents? I, 26 female, have one daughter, Anna, 8 female, 3-bed relationship with my ex, Mike, 38 male. It was an extremely manipulative and toxic relationship, and I'm so grateful that I left when I did. I found out I was pregnant after I left him and decided to keep the baby and gave birth to Anna all on my own. I tried to get child support from Mike, but he refused, despite having a 6-figure salary. He gave me full custody of Anna as he didn't care at all. Fast forward to today, I have a steady job and I'm raising Anna as a single mom. I love her to bits and would do anything for her well-being. So on to the situation. Yesterday, Anna wanted to bike around the block while I was working on my laptop, to which I said sure, because I trust her, and she's done this numerous times before with no issue. Well, about half an hour later, Anna still isn't back, and I started getting concerned. I'm walking around the block and find nothing. And when I get to my driveway, Anna's bike is there with a note that said something along the lines of, "Just wanted to take our granddaughter out for a treat. She's fine and she will be back by 5 p.m. Dave and Susan." Dave and Susan are Mike's parents, both 70-ish. I had gotten zero info on this beforehand and freaked the heck out. So I called the police and told them about it and sent them to Dave and Susan's house. I have no idea how they got my address, but needless to say, they found Anna and got her back to me. I'm currently infuriated with Dave and Susan for taking my daughter out without my permission. But now I'm getting called an a-hole and told that I'm a witch for not letting them meet their granddaughter and getting them in trouble with the police for spending time with her by Dave and Susan's entire family. I didn't even know if Anna would be alright, let alone alive, so I think my freaking out is understandable. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This is insane behavior on their part. If they want to meet their son's bio child, because she's not their granddaughter, as to be a parent or grandparent, you have to be involved in a child's life. The appropriate thing to do would be to contact her mother and work it out that way. They kidnapped a child. Their son's genetic contribution does not change the fact that they kidnapped an 8-year-old they had never met. I hope Opie's daughter isn't traumatized. They kidnapped your daughter, not the a-hole. The only point worth making towards this insane behavior. Opie, not the a-hole, and please consider a restraining order against these people. On another note, how on earth can sperm donor get away with not contributing? Where I live, the government agency would deal with this and garnish his wages if he didn't comply. From the wording, it sounds like he signed away rights to avoid paying child support. Then the government wouldn't have gone after him. But by doing that, he ended his parents' rights as well, since they didn't have any relationship. They can't force her to give them visitation, since they didn't have a relationship to claim. Not the a-hole. Why couldn't they come to your door or write you a letter? Had they not just kidnapped your daughter, maybe you'd have considered letting them be part of her life. They really need to come at her son though. He's the one who abandoned her and the entire reason they have no relationship with their granddaughter. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. My idea is that they thought I wouldn't let them see her, which I might have if they didn't commit a felony. You also need to have a serious talk with your daughter about stranger danger. And also, be honest about what happened and that they kidnapped her, and she needs to keep away from them from now on. Get a restraining order, and make sure they can't go near her. Be honest with her and get a cease and desist letter to stop all the calls. Not a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying my sister can move in with me but her fiancé isn't welcome? I originally said they could both move in, but I found out the real reason why they had to move. So, I have room at my place. My house has 3 bedrooms and I live alone, so when my sister asked me if she and her fiancé could stay with me temporarily, I didn't hesitate. They're both employed, don't use drugs or anything like that, and I've never had any problems with them. It would just be temporary for a few months. I didn't hesitate because she's my sister, and I didn't want her and her fiancé to be homeless. My sister originally told me they had to move because when they went to renew their lease, they were told the rent was increasing, and they couldn't afford it. They have to be out of their place at the end of the month. That's when she told me her lease ends. That was a lie. Their lease wasn't ending for months. The real reason they had to move is because of her fiancé's creepy behavior. He was going through the trash bins at the building, looking for used pads or tampons. I kid you not. And my sister thinks it won't be a problem because I'm a guy and don't menstruate. He started asking women in their building if he could have their used period products, and several of them complained about him because apparently he was harassing them and asking all kinds of creepy questions about their periods. I swear I'm not kidding. This is why they got told to move. I don't want a creep like her fiancé in my house. Personally, I think she's an idiot for staying with him, but she's trying to downplay it. I said she's still welcome to stay here because she's my sister, but her fiancé isn't welcome here to stay or even visit. My sister says I'm an a-hole for breaking my word because I said he could stay. She lied first, but she's downplaying that, and she's furious. I don't want him in my house, and she says it doesn't matter because I'm a guy. But I don't care. I find his behavior creepy. Edit: I didn't say my location in my post, but since many people are assuming American law applies where I live, it doesn't. The laws for tenants and eviction in America don't apply here. Saying I can't evict them and would have to go to court is inaccurate. That's not what the law is where I live. Not a-hole. He will stroll through your neighborhood on trash day and harass your neighbors. I live in a rural area. We don't have trash pickups like in the city. We have to bring our own trash to the pickup site. It doesn't go to the curb or in dumpsters. It's why my sister thinks I shouldn't have a problem with him living here. It doesn't change the fact that he has a very weird AF kink/fetish that is antisocial. No one wants that anywhere around. And just because you don't have trash doesn't mean he won't try to get his fix somehow. Asking women in the grocery store in the hygiene aisle, finding neighbors, or worse. And I'm sorry he's doing whatever he does with your sister's used products. This is just too out there. Not only is he banned for life if he violates it, get him trespassed, and tell your sister you will not be at her wedding and don't even ask. You don't support her with this man and you won't be there. You will always be there for her, but never for him, ever. Oh, I 100% agree with you about him. I don't want him here. The "you don't have trash pickup at your house" was my sister's line for why I should let him live here. You did it. Finally, something so weird. Not a single person can say, "Stop kink shaming." This post really has me analyzing my kink shaming line. I think if he's dating a woman and she's cool with sharing her menstrual products, then okay. I still personally find it gross, but it's really none of my business. But asking random women personal questions and then searching through their trash for used tampons is something else. He's involving people without their consent. It's super creepy behavior, and he deserves to be shamed. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding because she didn't invite me to hers? I'm 24 female and I'm getting married in a few weeks. 7 years ago, my sister got married and I was so excited. I talked to her about the wedding, what dress I'll wear, or if I could help her plan it, and she was always dismissive. Then a few weeks before the wedding, she told me that it would be 18+. She said she wanted to exclude annoying kids and made this rule, and she can't make exceptions and all this crap. She also said I was too young for the adult atmosphere and whatever. My 18th birthday was a week after the wedding. I was devastated, and I begged my sister to let me come. I really wanted to be there and support her. My stepmom refused to go to the wedding as a result of that, and my dad almost divorced her over it, among other things. I eventually accepted it, and I told my sister that I would not invite her to my wedding either. She scoffed and laughed, and said I was just being immature and I'll forget about it. Now, my fiancé's dad owns a massive yacht company. They rent out yachts, make repairs, and sell equipment. The wedding party will take place on a yacht, which can accommodate 200 guests. My sister asked me about the wedding, and I flat out told her she wasn't invited. She said I was being petty and how hurtful I was, and that her reasons were justified, and it's in the past. To be honest, I feel she just wants to be on a yacht, and not so much support me. I told her that she should have thought about that back then, and now she understands how I feel, and that she's only jealous that my wedding will be better than hers. My dad called me and said I need to stop being petty and invite her, and other family agree. I told them no, and after some arguing, they respected it. And now my sister is being a witch about it on Facebook. A friend suggested I should make my sister delete all the Facebook posts and write an apology letter saying why it was wrong to exclude me from the wedding. I think that's cringe, but what do you all think? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If you were like 12 to 13 when you weren't invited to her wedding, it's a different story. But you were a week from being 18. She definitely had ill intentions back then for the disinvite. Not even that, she's her sister. She absolutely can make exceptions for siblings. It doesn't matter if they're 10 or 1 week from 17. But I agree, OP is not a-hole. My wedding was technically child-free. My 17-year-old sister was absolutely an exception and was invited. Her age was never going to be a factor on whether she was invited. My older sister asked if my niece could come and see me in my dress before the reception. Yes, absolutely. My cousin just had a baby and brought him along. I didn't mind at all, as I would rather have my family there. OP's sister was just being horrible. Good on OP for getting her own back. Not a-hole, OP. Your stepmother is a gem for supporting you. Your father is garbage, though. Now she can be excluded and know how it feels. It's truly amazing to see this. Stepmother put her marriage in jeopardy to support OP, which is incredible. Father? Meh. He's just tired of being complained at by others. Dad should have stayed neutral like he did when OP was excluded. Dad seems to have threatened divorce over the precious wedding when stepmother stood in solidarity of OP. Dad is an idiot. Dad clearly has a golden child. That is not OP. Last story. Am I the a-hole for getting my sister removed from the will because of her husband? I, female 24, have a sister, female 29, who has been with her husband, male 30, for 8 years. My sister is very hardworking with a good paying job. Brother-in-law, however, has been job hunting for at least 5 years. Personally, I believe it's brother-in-law's ego and his laziness stopping him from getting a job. Any job I would offer would be rejected because with his experience, he at least deserves to be a manager, and the money is too little. My sister is no contact with our mom. Completely understandable, because unfortunately, my mother can be manipulative and is a borderline narcissist. The worst is her victim complex. However, the catalyst was when brother-in-law lied to my sister and told her our mom gifted them $20,000, when in actuality, my mom said she would loan it to them. My sister sided with brother-in-law and claimed our mom was being manipulative. But our mom argued that it's a ridiculous gift, especially if it's to buy property. This would be their third, and mom already paid for 2. Mom then blew up, because by this point she was paying brother-in-law $100,000 to be her assistant. But he was barely working, about 5-hour days 3 times a week, and always coming up with excuses to skip. He then left after 6 months, which is when I started working for mom. Recently, the talk of inheritance arose due to dad's cancer diagnosis. My parents are separated, but mom has lots of assets, including $1 million life insurance, a $2 million home, and 12 properties, which is under a family trust she manages. And here is where I think I'm an a-hole, because I convinced my mom to split her assets equally between myself and my brother, excluding the life insurance. Somehow, my sister found out and has asked we can test the will or draw up a contract to share the inheritance. I refused because, in my opinion, inheritance is earned. Besides, mom is still alive and healthy, so she can change her mind. My sister is upset and says that she deserves it just as much as we do, but I disagree. I work 12-hour days with my mom, driving her around, managing everything, whilst also being my dad's caregiver. My sister also wants to throw mom into a nursery home, whilst I would take her in. She said our brother didn't earn his keep, but is only 19 and a student. Therefore, the expectations should match that. Plus, he does the business, artwork, chores, and works part-time. I told her she and her husband can't expect anything from someone they haven't spoken to in a year. And now her argument is that me and my brother already have enough, as mom bought us 3 properties each, whilst she has to share with her husband and kids. My sister says I'm selfish, but I've worked my whole life under my parents. Honestly, I think it's the stress of being the only source of income for a family with 2 young kids that is getting to her. I do feel for her. She's expressed she's worried she might lose her job because she can't dedicate time to her career because of the kids. But both go to childcare 3 times a week. And if brother-in-law is unemployed, I don't know what this is. On the other hand, my sister and brother-in-law have always been entitled. Before, when my brother-in-law worked for mom, they would take mom's credit card for groceries and other shopping and not tell her. They also did the same with my dad. More than anything, I don't want brother-in-law's laziness to be rewarded with my mom's hard work. Even though I don't really like my mom, she's a narcissist but still my mom. It's all complicated feelings. I cannot deny she has set us up for life. To think of all the hardships mom endured migrating to Australia and juggling 3 jobs whilst pregnant to build her dream house and it could end up in brother-in-law's hands makes my heart clench. So am I the a-hole? If it was my sister and kids, I wouldn't mind, but her and brother-in-law are a package deal. Note, all family members, except sister and brother-in-law, agree with this sentiment. I do feel guilty, but I don't know how to ensure that only my sister benefits, not brother-in-law. The 12 properties are under a family trust as we built them ourselves. Brother-in-law is not included in our family trust. However, sis has put brother-in-law's name on the title of all properties mom has bought her. My sister will always get her fair share of the life insurance though. I mentioned this in a reply, but we specifically want the 12 properties to remain under myself and my brother's care, so we can pass them down to my sister's children and my brother's future children. My sister or brother-in-law would likely try to sell them. They're not mortgage-free properties, and we still need to manage them. Also, I don't plan on having kids, so it's pointless for me to have this. And because I won't have kids, my niece and nephew will inherit everything of mine. Currently, the original loan for the properties have made my parents liable. I would love to judge, but this is 2 first-world problems for my brain to process. I have a job and 3 gifted properties. I want more inheritance. I've got 3 jobs and a mortgage. I want dental insurance. So I guess you're the a-hole. Try looking at more as I don't want my lazy, entitled, and dishonest brother-in-law to get more stuff. Opie's not really demanding more. She just wants her brother-in-law and sister to get less because of their lousy attitudes and how they've treated the rest of the family. And I'd have to agree. In Opie's situation, I'd prefer the brother-in-law's share go to charity than see him be rewarded for being a lazy leech. Not the a-hole for me. I'd prefer neither Opie nor brother-in-law get anything and it all go to charity. But that's entirely irrelevant. Opie is an a-hole. You're the a-hole. Why did you convince your mom of anything? You should have let her make her own choice and stayed out of it. You said your sister works hard. And just because you kiss your manipulative mom's butt doesn't mean she has to. Doesn't like brother-in-law. Screwing over sis as a result is fine. Huge, you're the a-hole.